Imagine being so rich that the government literally has to invent new laws just to stop you from making more money. That's not fiction. That's John D Rockefeller. At his peak, this man controlled 90% of all oil in America. Not a company, not a group, one single man. His wealth was so incomprehensible that if you adjust it for today's money, he'd make Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk look middle class. So how did a quiet bookkeeper's son become the first confirmed billionaire in human history? And more importantly, what did he know about building wealth that we've completely forgotten? Buckle up. This story is insane. Here's something that'll blow your mind. John D Rockefeller became a billionaire in 1916, when the average American worker earned about $750 a year. Let me put that in perspective. If you made $50,000 today and wanted to reach Rockefeller's equivalent wealth, you'd need to earn that salary for 40,000 years without spending a single dollar. But here's what's even crazier. Rockefeller didn't inherit his fortune. He didn't get lucky with crypto or tech stocks. He didn't invent something revolutionary. He did something far more powerful. He mastered the game of business in a way nobody had before or has since. Today, we're breaking down exactly how he did it. The strategies, the ruthless moves, the shocking moments, and the lessons that are still making people rich today. Let's dive in. The humble beginning. Most billionaire stories start with privilege, not Rockefeller's. Born in 1839 in upstate New York, John D Rockefeller grew up dirt poor. His dad? A literal con man who sold fake cancer cures and abandoned the family for months at a time. His mom had to raise 6 kids alone, scraping by on almost nothing. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite the poverty, Rockefeller's mother drilled 2 things into him from day one. 1, discipline. She made him account for every penny he earned. 2, delayed gratification. He couldn't spend money immediately. He had to save, plan, and think long-term. At age 16, Rockefeller got his first job as a bookkeeper, earning $4 a week. Most teenagers would have blown it. Not him. He saved every single dollar he could, tracked every expense in a little red ledger book, studied the numbers obsessively. By age 20, he'd saved $1,000, which in 1859 money is like having $35,000 today. Not bad for a kid with 0 connections. But he didn't just save money. He studied it. He watched how businesses operated. He analyzed what made them succeed or fail. And then, in 1859, he saw it. The opportunity that would change everything. The oil boom. Picture this. 1859, Pennsylvania. Someone just struck oil. Now, if you're thinking gas stations and cars, wrong. Cars didn't exist yet. Oil back then was used for kerosene lamps. Before electricity, kerosene was how people lit their homes. And suddenly, there was a massive gold rush, except it was black and came from the ground. Everybody and their grandma rushed to Pennsylvania to drill for oil. It was chaos, boom towns, get-rich-quick schemes, fortunes made and lost overnight. But here's the genius of Rockefeller. While everyone else was drilling for oil, he focused on refining it. Think about it. Crude oil straight from the ground is useless. You need to refine it into kerosene. And in the 1860s, oil refining was wildly inefficient, dangerous, and wasteful. Rockefeller saw the real money wasn't in finding oil, it was in controlling what happened to it after. In 1863, at just 24 years old, he opened his first oil refinery in Cleveland, Ohio. And from day one, he operated differently than everyone else. The obsession with efficiency. Here's where Rockefeller's bookkeeper brain kicked into overdrive. Most refineries were sloppy. They wasted oil, burned through resources, operated on gut feeling. Rockefeller, he measured everything. He tracked every gallon of oil, every drop of waste, every cent spent. He famously walked through his refineries counting the drops of solder used to seal oil cans. When he realized they were using 40 drops per can, he said, "Try 38. They tried it, worked fine. He saved thousands of dollars instantly. That's the level of obsession we're talking about. But it wasn't just about being cheap. It was about efficiency as a competitive weapon. While competitors wasted 30 to 40% of their crude oil, Rockefeller's refineries wasted almost nothing. He even figured out how to turn the waste byproducts into sellable items: gasoline, which was useless back then, petroleum jelly, paraffin wax, even road tar. Nothing was wasted. Everything made money. And because his costs were lower than everyone else's, he could sell kerosene cheaper than any competitor and still make massive profits. This is business warfare at its finest. The birth of Standard Oil. By 1870, Rockefeller was crushing it. His refinery was the biggest in Cleveland. But he had a problem. The oil industry was wildly unstable. Prices swung like crazy. Competition was cutthroat. Profits were unpredictable. Rockefeller hated chaos. He wanted control, stability, domination. So in 1870, he founded Standard Oil Company. And here's where things get absolutely ruthless. Rockefeller had a simple strategy: consolidate everything. He started buying up his competitors. Sometimes he made them fair offers, other times not so much. Here's how it worked. If you owned a competing refinery, Rockefeller would approach you with two options. Option 1, sell to me now at a decent price and I'll give you stock in Standard Oil. You'll stay rich. Option 2, compete with me and I'll crush you into bankruptcy. How could he crush them? Because of his efficiency, he could drop kerosene prices so low that competitors couldn't match them without losing money. He'd sell at a loss temporarily just to starve competitors out. Once they went bankrupt, he'd buy their refineries for pennies on the dollar. Then he'd raise prices again. This is predatory pricing, and it's illegal now, specifically because of Rockefeller. By 1880, Standard Oil controlled 90% of oil refining in America. 90%. One company, one man. The monopoly machine. But refining wasn't enough for Rockefeller. He wanted total control of the entire oil supply chain. So he started controlling transportation. Back then, oil was moved by railroads, so Rockefeller made secret deals with railroad companies. Give me massive discounts and I'll ship exclusively with you. The railroads agreed because Rockefeller shipped so much volume, they couldn't afford to lose him. But here's the evil genius part. Rockefeller didn't just negotiate discounts for himself. He negotiated that railroads would charge his competitors higher rates. So not only was he shipping cheaper, his competitors were paying more. It's like playing basketball where you score 3 points per basket and your opponent loses a point every time they shoot. The game was rigged. Rockefeller also started buying pipelines, oil fields, storage facilities, even the barrels and cans used to ship kerosene. He called this vertical integration, controlling every step from oil well to customer's lamp. By the 1880s, if you used kerosene in America, you were probably putting money in Rockefeller's pocket whether you knew it or not. The backlash. Now, as you can imagine, people started getting really pissed off. Small business owners hated him. Competitors called him a tyrant. Journalists wrote exposés calling him a robber baron and a monopolist. Ida Tarbell, a famous journalist, wrote a massive investigation called The History of the Standard Oil Company, exposing all of Rockefeller's ruthless tactics. The public turned on him. Cartoons depicted him as an octopus strangling America. The government got involved. In 1911, the Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil was an illegal monopoly and ordered it to be broken up into 34 separate companies. You'd think this would destroy Rockefeller, right? Wrong. He owned stock in all 34 companies. When they became independent, their stock prices soared, and Rockefeller got even richer. The breakup that was supposed to punish him made him the first confirmed billionaire. That's 4D chess. Okay, so what can we actually learn from this? Obviously, we can't build illegal monopolies, and honestly, some of Rockefeller's tactics were straight up evil. But here are the principles that still work. 1. Efficiency is a competitive weapon. Rockefeller didn't win by working harder, he won by eliminating waste and maximizing every resource. In your life, where are you wasting time, money, or energy? Cut the fat. Optimize ruthlessly. 2. Control the bottleneck. Rockefeller didn't just refine oil, he controlled transportation, distribution, everything. In your life, what's the bottleneck in your industry? The thing everyone needs but nobody controls? That's where the power is. 3. Think long-term. Rockefeller would sell at a loss for months just to eliminate competition. He played the long game. Most people can't delay gratification for a week. Rockefeller delayed it for years and became a billionaire. 4. Vertical integration still works. Today's billionaires do this too. Amazon controls logistics. Apple controls hardware and software. Tesla controls batteries and charging stations. Own the whole process, not just one piece. 5. Public perception matters. Rockefeller learned this the hard way. Late in life, he spent millions on philanthropy, building universities, funding medical research, creating foundations. Why? To rebuild his image. And it worked. Today, people remember him more for his charity than his ruthlessness. John D Rockefeller started with nothing and became the richest human being who ever lived.